This is the regular meeting of the Mobile City Council, Tuesday, July 3rd. Please stand for an invocation led by Pastor Rhonda Tony of RT Ministries and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good morning. Let us pray. Father, we come this morning, God, and first of all, Lord, we just want to tell you thank you, oh God. Lord God, we pray right now, God, for a successful meeting, God. We pray right now, God, for wisdom from on high. And God, we pray right now for a peaceful resolution in all decision making. We call it done and say it is so in Jesus' name. And we all say it. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Vice President Manzi.
Here.
Councilmember Richardson.
Here.
Councilmember Small.
Here.
Councilmember Williams.
Here.
Councilmember Daves.
Here.
Councilmember Rich. Councilmember Gregory.
Here.
Statement of rules.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I would appreciate each and every one of you being in attendance today. The rules of the council are quite simple. First, we ask that you would turn off or silence all electronic devices as you enter into our meeting. Any person desiring to address the council must sign in indicating the resolution, ordinance, appeal, or public hearing agenda item before entering the meeting. When addressing the council, the speaker must clearly state his or her name and address. Any person desiring to speak to the council on a non-agenda item must contact the city clerk's office no later than 2 p.m. on the Thursday prior to the council meeting. The subject he or she wishes to address must be identified and pertain to City of Mobile business. Any person who has not given proper notice to the clerk's office and wishes to speak on a non-agenda item will not be allowed to address the council. Each speaker is allowed 5 minutes to address the council. A bell will sound to indicate the end of 4 minutes. 1 minute remains for summarizing. The second bell indicates the time has expired. This next one is very important. When addressing the council, there is to be no personal address to any individual council member. All statements are to be made to me, the chair, who will recognize any council member who wishes to respond. To maintain decorum, there will be no undue applause and or public outcry allowed. And maintaining decorum is exactly what I'm going to do today. If there's someone who, after being advised to silence themselves after their time has elapsed, and they continue in a belligerent or disrespectful manner, we have the appropriate people here who will take you outside and let you finish your conversation outside the auditorium. We don't want to have to do that because this is the people's business and we respect your commentary whether or not we agree with it or not. But we also would ask that you give us the respect, do these offices and do a meeting of this nature. And so we hate to have to do that, but I'm certainly willing to do it. And we have the appropriate people here, both male and female, who are ready to take care of whatever needs to be taken care of. Thank you so much for your interest in your municipal government. Madam City Clerk.
Approval of minutes of June 19th and June 26th.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and second. Any discussion? Not all in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Communications from the mayor's office. Adoption of the agenda.
Before we
We have.
Is the mayor not here?
Yeah, we have presentation.
Mayor not here?
No, sir. Do we have any communications?
No, sir.
All right.
Okay.
Be-
We have
before we
presentation.
Before we would move forward, we do have a special presentation, and this presentation is going to merit, well, if she doesn't mind, because I want all of us to participate. Ms. Peak, do you mind coming behind here, if you don't mind? I don't want it to just be something for me. I want all of us, if you don't mind, let's all stand. Well, you can remain seated, of course.
No, I didn't have that.
I've had the privilege of working with this young lady for the last, I know, 11 years. And I met her after being elected to the Mobile County School Board. She was deputy superintendent, always a wealth of both knowledge and information. And then I had the privilege as president of our county school board to work in elevating her to become the first female superintendent of Mobile County Public School System. Her family has been involved in education for well over 100 years. 46 of those years, she's contributed herself. And the entire city, our county, this region has been made better by the contributions of Ms. Martha Louise Peak. And I'd like to read this proclamation at this time on behalf of the entire council and our mayor. It reads, whereas Ms. Martha L. Peak served with the distinction the students, families, and educators of Mobile County as superintendent of the Mobile County Public Schools, and whereas she was the first female superintendent in the 180-year history of the Mobile County Public Schools, and during her career, which spanned over 40 years in the school system, she served as a teacher, principal, assistant superintendent, deputy superintendent, and whereas Mrs. Peak is a graduate of the University of Alabama and the University of South Alabama, and serves as a member and board member of a number of professional and civic organizations, including United Way of Southwest Alabama, Junior Achievement of Mobile, American Heart Association's National Superintendent Roundtable, and the Leadership Alabama class. And whereas throughout her distinguished career, Mrs. Peak has impacted the lives of tens of thousands of students, educators, and our entire public school system. Now, therefore, we, members of the Mobile City Council, along with the mayor, do hereby proclaim Tuesday, June 3rd, 2018, as Ms. Martha Peak Day in Mobile, and urge all of our citizens to join with us in celebrating Mrs. Peak for her enormous and lasting contributions to the Mobile County Public School System and to the Mobile region as a whole. And it's signed by every member of this council. Ms. Peak, we say congratulations on a well-earned retirement.
Thank you very much. It has been my honor to serve as superintendent and my pleasure to have worked with outstanding young people in Mobile County who are definitely our greatest resource. And then the outstanding faculties and staffs in the school and at the central office. Also to have the pleasure of getting to know people at the local and state levels, to work with the mayor and the city council and the county commission. Thank you very much. I will treasure this.
Like this way. Gina, move it a little. Thank you. 1, 2. Fred wants his own. Hang on 1 second. 1, 2. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you very much. I'm still speaking to you.
Let's give her another big round of applause. Ms. Peak, we have plenty of brand new condos for you to buy in District 2, now that you're enjoying your retirement. All right.
Adoption of the agenda.
Second.
Been properly moved and second. Any discussion? None. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda is adopted.
Appeals, we have request for the a waiver of the noise ordinance on December 1st on St. Anthony Street, July 14th on South Favre Drive, July 4th through the 7th on Druid Drive, and July 14th on Dolphin Street.
Second.
Properly motion and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Presentation of petitions and other communications to the council. Mario Yao.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Mario Yao. I reside at 1860 Reddy Street, Mobile, Alabama, in District 2. Mr. Manzi is my councilman, and I'm here today on behalf of the citizens of my community in the Happy Hill and Africatown area. Our streets are almost undrivable. There are large holes, washed out patchwork, grass growing in the streets. It's gotten so bad over there, it was a fruit tree that was growing in the street, but after talking to my councilman, that has been taken care of now. I think the problem occurred from years of neglect by the city workers and the property owner that is next to my property. When they come out to cut, they only cut the city grass and they stop like a yard before mine. But I also want to come back and thank you, Councilman Manzi, for fixing the trash problem issue that I had over there and getting the tree service to come out. And they did a real good job. The ones that I was telling you about that was leaning on the lines when I spoke to, I don't know the gentleman's name, but he let me know that those were like the telephone lines that they still left on there. So I don't know what I can do as far as to getting those off. Also, I would like to say, on behalf of my neighbors and myself, can we get the curbs clean and like the rest of the district that is around us, and getting our drainage ways cleared, because the streets that are over there that's really bad is only 3. It's Reddy Street, Dr. Thomas Drive, and Stemrad Road. There's a lot of littering that goes on daily, but that's in Josephine Allen, which is, I know, owned by the Housing Board. I don't know if the city can do anything about that, but it's like a ghost town over there, and like we've been just left. So we just want our neighborhood to get all the services that our other citizens receive in this great city. And we are taxpayers paying citizens as well. I'd like to thank you for all that you've done, and just want to hope that we can get everything that's done over there. I mean, as far as the streets, because they're real bad done, because the city did come out, clear that grass back up into that fence line. I think the street sweepers is supposed to come out, the guy told me. No, I hadn't spoken to you since then.
Well, Mr. Yao, I want to thank you for being a persistent and community advocate for that neighborhood.
Yes, sir.
I agree with you that there is much room for improvement, and I have certainly been willing to work with you to get those issues reported to the appropriate people. That's essentially what I do. You let me know, I let them know, and I'm thankful to Mr. Peavy and to Mr. Tola, who's been working with you on the tree issue. We have a long way to go, but we're going to get there, I believe, under Mr. Peavy's leadership. He's here today, and I'm glad that he's here. If you don't mind, Mr. Peavy, if you all could connect, and Mr. Yao, if you could go into greater detail those issues, because he is the executive director over all of those public work divisions, and I believe he is going to work with us to make certain that the improvements you seek and I seek in that area come to fruition. Thank you for coming down today, and hey, anytime I can be of some help, I'm an inbox or a text message away.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you.
Isabel Devati.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for this opportunity that I can speak a few minutes. My name is Reverend Devati. I'm representing National Parents Day. I have been coordinating National Parents Day since 1996, starting from California, then Florida. But this is the first year we are celebrating here in Florida, in Mobile. I would like to invite the...
May we have your address, please? Your address.
You mean my personal address, or the location that we are holding it?
Yes, ma'am.
It's going to be at Emmanuel Seventh-day Adventist.
No, not the church address.
Oh, my personal address.
Where do you get your mail?
I get my mail on 3854 Pickett Drive, Mobile, Alabama.
All right, there we go.
Is that your district?
No, well, I don't think so.
Whose district is that? Okay. Can I go on?
Go on.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Parents' Day was signed into law in 1994. Number one, I have two requests. The one request is that I would like to know if the chairman of the council would like to come, attend, be a honorary chairperson this year. And number two is that I would like to know if you can issue a proclamation. 6 months ago, I submitted the proclamation, 6 months ago. So I haven't heard. That's why I'm here, personally. This is a proclamation we received from Governor. I would like to read a few paragraphs from that, if you don't mind. It says, alarming statistics related to at-risk youth and teenage delinquency compels us to focus on family, reinforce traditional family values on Parents' Day. Aware of crisis of family breakdown throughout this nation and that every moment counts in efforts to respond to this emergency, we must address the importance of sanctity of marriage in creating home environment of peace and love, and emphasis on education to guide and nurture the next generation is also essential. Healthy and God-centered families are the foundation for healthy, well-adjusted nation because the values that promote peace in the world are a direct extension of the values that promote peace within individual family. God-centered families and the pursuit of world peace are not two separate goals. Without families that embody the love and ideals of our Creator, reconciliation and peace among divided classes, colors, and creeds will remain an unattainable dream. We encourage all parents, whether parental figures, step-parents, teachers, adoptive parents, foster parents, to commit themselves in creating a nurturing home environment that encourages sound development of their children as healthy, well-adjusted citizens of the community. Why National Parents' Day is important? Because parents are, every unit is the building block of a society. When the cell decays, the whole society and nation will collapse. So that's the reason that we are celebrating Parents' Day this year, and I highly encourage you to come and stand with us for traditional family values. You know, the white cells, when the white cells in our body, they decay, people die. The unit of family is like a white cell that guard the health of a body, that when the toxic and the germs comes in, the white cell can stand. When the body ran out of white cell, then that's the end of that individual. That's the same thing with the families. If we let the traditional family goes and we do not do nothing about it, we do not stand for a traditional family value, purity of generation, teach our children to be absolute sexual purity, then this nation will collapse. And now the signs are coming. National Parents' Day was founded in the year 1994. I'm one of the people among our Unification Church members. We were the one who were in the street going all over and collecting the petition. The petition was signed in 1994 by President Clinton. And now, this is the first time. When I came here in Mobile 1 year ago, nobody heard about this. I go to the street, I talk to people, I know what is going on to the community. I know what is going on to our families. Our families are almost dying. The young people, forget about, I mean, we are the old people. We old people, that's fine. We believe in traditional family value. But when it comes to the next generation, nobody wants to get married because the laws are not family oriented. I lived in Korea, I lived in South Korea, and at night I could walk in the street. Now here in Mobile, I cannot walk in the street when it gets dark because there's a shotgun going on all around me, right? I did not hear that when last year I was in South Korea. So the point is that the culture, the laws has to be made family friendly. When people do not want to get married because they only get one social security, there are so many blocks right now that prevent people from having a stable family. So we as an individual, as a truth body of an individual, we have to make the friends that are family oriented. So National Parents' Day is extremely important.
Hold a minute. Are you on time?
Oh, no, it's gone.
What is it? My time is up?
I think your time is up.
Okay. Thank you so
your
much.
time is up.
God bless you. And I hope that you will make us a proclamation. Can I
right.
leave this with you?
Oh, I have it.
Oh, you
Well,
have
I
one?
got this one.
Okay. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
All right, thank you. Amen. All right, okay.
Kristen Cameron Haddix.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman.
Good morning.
And fellow City Council members. Thank you for giving me just a moment to share an event with you today. My name is Kristen Cameron Haddix. I live at 208 Greenbrier Circle North in Daphne, and I am here on behalf of Gulf Quest Maritime Museum to share a little bit about our 4th of July events tomorrow in conjunction with the city's events at Cooper Riverside Park. And we hope all of you will be able to make it, as well as everybody in Mobile and the surrounding cities. We know that Cooper Riverside Park opens for attendees tomorrow at 2 p.m., and we also have some events going on at Gulf Quest. We have a water slide that's going to be right down on the riverfront that kids can come. It's just $5 a ticket, as well as our exhibits inside are just going to be $5. So as people are getting down to Cooper Riverside Park and finding where they'd like to sit, we invite them all over. We also have our restaurant, The Galley, which will be selling food and beverages outside for all the attendees of the events. So we'd like to invite everybody out, and I know that your concert starts at 5 p.m. and then the pop's at 7, so hopefully, cross fingers for no rain. We'll have everybody out there. If it does rain, we invite everybody to come inside for a brief spell and then go back out. And we also are going to have parking, paid parking out there, so anybody attending is welcome to come. So we just wanted to invite all of you guys and say we're excited to be working alongside the city to give all the Mobile residents something family-friendly, as well as those who are singles or married couples or whoever. We just want to invite you.
Question, can I ask? Yes, sir. Are you open every day at Gulf Quest?
No, sir, we're not open on Mondays.
Say it again.
I'm sorry?
What days are you open?
We are open Tuesday through Sunday.
Oh, okay, because I read somewhere that you was going to start, you would start opening every day.
No, sir, not on Mondays.
What hours?
We are open 9 to 5 on Tuesday through Saturday and 12 to 5 on Sunday.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Vice President, I thought I had also read that there was another program where people could pay a certain amount of money and watch the fireworks from there and enjoy some food. And
there is an extravaganza event that was ticketed only, and the ticket sales closed on that last night.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Wesley Young. Joe Keffer.
Thank you. Joe Keffer, Montgomery, Alabama. I'm here today. Mr. Young is on Montgomery, Alabama, 3892 Johnstown Drive, Montgomery, Alabama. I'm here today. Mr. Young, we had a press conference yesterday. He was unable to attend today. He has a first personal family matter that he couldn't be here. But he asked me to say a couple of things that he said yesterday in the press conference, and I'd like to add one or two other things to it. I think this all started back, public and the citizens were restless. No trash pickup, delays. Department came out and they blamed it on weather, they blamed it on holidays, and they blamed it mainly on the workers. And they publicly made statements that the workers were at fault. So we, on May 1st, community and the Public Workers Association came in and launched a campaign, and we've been here almost every week to update the council on what's been going on. What we think happened is that the city, and I think that what came out in those meetings was that the delays had to do with lack of equipment. They had to do with the lack of staff. Some council members, to their credit, came out and had a job fair. I think that just happened last night. I don't know how that went, but it was an admission that there were 21 people that were short, at least, and those positions are being filled. We came out with a campaign, and that campaign said that it wasn't the workers' fault. The city, I think, then came back and they started, the ball was in their court and they came back and 3 workers were put on administrative leave. There was an internal affairs investigation that was done. The point that was made yesterday in the press conference was that 2 of the 3 of those workers are now back to work and have been back for about 2 weeks. In spite of that fact, they're still being blamed for the fact that they were off work for trash delays. The 3rd worker, we believe, and the Union Association is solidly behind them based on the facts that we know right now, will get back to work. We're saying, why not after at least 3 weeks, these workers aren't, that 3rd worker isn't back to work? What's going on? How long does it take to do this investigation? That 3rd worker was an activist. He was one that spoke up a lot of times. We have concerns about that. There was also an event that happened on a Sunday night, and Mr. Young investigated that, President Young. And there was a shooting, and it was between police and somebody who they were chasing who ended up on the Public Works property. That blame for that was put on city workers. I don't know if it came out from the city, that it was a city worker that did this in Public Works, or whether or not that perception got out there in the public. But the department did not do anything to dissuade that thought. They left that out there in the public, that they're lawless people that are that are working for the city in the trash and sanitation. We think that we have hardworking employees. They're out there 7 days a week, a lot of them. They're out there on holidays. They're trying to overcome the shortnesses in staff, and what they're getting is not respect back from the department and not back from the administration. We think something has to be done about this, that it has to be put to an end. Now, there are some things that are happening. When we first came out, we were alleging 3 different things, mainly, and that we had information requests out there. We were blown off initially on those information requests. We asked for a meeting with the mayor. We refused that meeting with the mayor. Right now, we just had a meeting yesterday, so there are some steps in the right direction. It was with the department. The mayor and Mr. Woods, I think, was there too. Mr. Young, the president of the association, was not allowed in that meeting again. So we're here to say that the mayor hasn't been at these meetings. Since we came in here on May 1st, I think there's been probably 8, 9 meetings, something like that. The mayor's been here, I think, for about 2 or 3 of those meetings. And when the workers got up, and almost every one of them except for one, the mayor got up and left. He was not here when the workers spoke. What kind of an administration is that? We need a meeting with the mayor. After the meeting yesterday, there was another meeting set up with Public Works Department in 3 weeks. We need to get to the people that are going to make the decision. We all know that once the budgets come out, it's too late. If you wait until right before the budget decision is made, it's too late. It's got to happen earlier. We want to get in and meet in seriousness with the mayor's office, and we want it to happen now, and we want the harassment and the bad treatment of public workers in the public to stop. Thank you.
Mr. Vice President.
Yes, sir. Mr. Richardson.
I would like for Mr. Keffer, you don't have to come back. I just want you here. I want you to let the word go forth that last night, council members Small, Manzi, and myself put on a public service workers job fair. It was inclement weather. It was raining. We had over 200 people to show up. There's no trash they can't pick up. It included all genders, all ethnicities, all ages. They were all there last night, and they stayed. So the issue of not having enough workers is off the table. We took it off last night. It's off the table, brother.
Mr. Any further comments? I thought I heard somebody. No? Not, Madam City Clerk.
Gregory Dennis.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Gregory Dennis. My address is 5919 Warrenwood Drive. I'm here this morning to address the issues concerning Hillsdale Heights again. I was hoping I would have an update to share today concerning the issues in Hillsdale Heights subdivision. I've requested the help of the entire City Council concerning these issues, and I'm awaiting their response. And I'm also still awaiting USA response concerning the maintenance of their property. but today I will clarify a few issues concerning Hillsdale Heights and the barricades. In reference to the barricades, USA has not denied the citizens access to the campus through Hillsdale Heights as insinuated last week. The barricades don't stop citizens from entering USA campus through Hillsdale Heights by car, bike, walking, or running. As the students, faculty, and public use Hillsdale Heights to enter and depart USA campus daily, utilizing these methods. The barricades give the city a justification for not to maintain the infrastructure, preventing residents from using the streets in their neighborhood. I don't see any evidence of a major dumping issue on USA property where the barricades are not installed, which is a lot of property. And if there is any dumping, the city is doing an excellent job at keeping it cleaned up. However, the trash was scheduled to be picked up Friday in our neighborhood, and we are still waiting. Hillsdale Heights subdivision is a safe neighborhood consisting of 3 churches, Augusta Evans School, Hillsdale Recreation Center, and Hillsdale Park. The back part of our neighborhood is the University of South Alabama. One of the churches in Hillsdale is Smith Memorial AME Church, where Reverend Joseph Rimbert is our pastor. A recent Sunday school lesson was about reaping God's justice. Mark 16, 19 through 31st chapter. It talks about a rich man who wore fine clothes and lived lavishly. And there was a certain beggar named Lazarus who laid at his gate, full of sores, desiring to be fed with the crumbs which fell from the rich man's table. The beggar died and was carried by the angels into Abraham's bosom. The rich man also died and was buried. And in hell he lifted up his eyes, being in torment, and see Abraham afar off, and Lazarus in his bosom. And he cried and said, Father, Abraham, have mercy on me. Send Lazarus, that he may dip the tip of his finger in water, and cool my tongue, for I am tormented in this flame. Next, the rich man asked Abraham to send Lazarus, to inform his brothers, so they won't go to hell also. Abraham said, no, if they don't hear Moses and the prophets, neither will they be persuaded through one who rose from the dead. I think the message is to let us know we all have a day of judgment, and it's what's in our heart and how we treat others that's going to decide our final destination. I don't know why God put this on my heart to share with you today, or who he's talking to, but please, treat others as you would like to be treated. Thank you. Have a good 4th of July, and I will see you all next week to give you all any updates if we have any. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I might.
Mrs. Gregory?
Yeah. No, she said Ms. Gregory.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Dennis, for coming. I appreciate it. Mr. Dennis has been in touch with our office. Ms. Barbara Wilson has put in some requests for Mr. Dennis, and he's also contacted me, and we've put in some what we call executive requests from the council. And I want to thank Mr. Dennis for coming, and because, Mr. Dennis, if you don't point out some of these things to us, we don't know to send people out. So I really appreciate your vigilance and what you're doing. I visited some of these areas that Mr. Dennis has brought to our attention. One in particular was a huge mess. This is the right-of-way that runs between his entrance at Fontaine and the next entrance off Cody Road onto LaFleur. Our mowers had gone out, but because the grass and the weeds were so high, what they didn't get around trees and utility poles and signposts were, I mean, at least this high or higher, and it looked awful. So I took some pictures, sent those in to Mr. Peavy to see if he couldn't get somebody out there to take care of it. This is going to require not just one of those big tractors. Unfortunately, it's going to require the weed eater, but he said that he would get them out there because he saw it and he agreed with us that it looks terrible. Some of the other properties that Mr. Dennis has brought to our attention, a couple of them are pending. One has got a municipal offense ticket, so it's pending in court. and another one is still pending work to be done. And I've got the status. I asked Ms. Wilson to give me those yesterday, and she can send them to you as well. But I do want to thank him for all he is doing out there. We appreciate our citizens for taking the step forward to work in their neighborhoods and do things. So I look forward to working with Mr. Dennis on all the needs in Hillsdale. Just as an aside, there are many, many properties in Hillsdale. I don't think people understand how large a neighborhood it is. And Mr. Dennis's property and some of those others that are closer to Cody Road are people who have lived there for, I don't know, in some cases forever. And they are well-established homes and neighborhoods that we want to take care of, and we want, of course, University of South Alabama and anyone else who buys property out there to be good neighbors, and we intend to all work together. So thank you, Mr. Dennis. Look forward to seeing you, and we'll be in touch with some of your other issues that need to be done.
Mr. Vice President.
Mr. Williams, then Mr. Richardson.
Again, I want to thank Mr. Dennis for coming down, but I also want to make something real clear that I think you said in your comments that you had asked all of the council members for a response, and it is simply as simple as this. Miss Gregory is your representative. I trust that she will represent you well, and not above her, and not but rather in addition. The mayor is your mayor. The way to the mayor is not through me. It is straight to the mayor. He is the only person in the city that can direct the action that you're asking for. I can't do that, and I won't pretend to. You have great comments. You've always been respectful at the podium, and I think your points are well taken. And Ms. Gregory, I know, will represent you, and I'm certain that the mayor's administration that is present will make sure that those things are. But that's between you and them, and I just didn't want you to think you was going to respond. We all respond to our constituents in our district, and I respect what you're trying to do. Wish everyone that had as much love and care for their developments and for their communities as you do. I certainly would like to have a couple more of Mr. Dennis's in District 4, so thanks again for coming down.
Mr. Richardson?
I think John said it well. I would just add that it is forbidden by law for council members to interfere in administrative matters. In other words, if I directed one city employee other than the city clerk to go do something, I could be removed from my office. So we hear you. Your council member can turn in to the administration what you are complaining about. We can't do it. All city property, employees, and equipment is under the auspices of the administration, but we hear you.
Cedric Miles.
Cedric Miles, 1312 Forest Cove Drive, Mobile, Alabama. I came to speak today about the city giving South Alabama $20 million. Like Councilman Richardson, I'm sorry, it's $10 million over the next 20 years. I apologize. Like Councilman Richardson, I'm a graduate of South Alabama. I'm also a lifelong citizen of Mobile, and most of my life I lived in the Maysville area, all except for the past 12 years. So I think I have a threefold stake in this thing. And as a graduate of South, I'm very happy that they have a football team now, and I think they need a stadium, because if you're going to have a successful program, you do need a stadium. However, I'm not for the city giving $10 million to South Alabama over the next 20 years. And the reason for that is growing up in Maysville, last stadium means a lot to us. Just tearing, I know the mayor has other plans where he says he's going to tear it down and they're going to provide greater opportunities there in that particular place. But LAD means a lot to us because growing up there, we always were able to walk to the Senior Bowl. As a kid, I never missed the Senior Bowl, and because I only lived 3 blocks from LAD. And by tearing down LAD and moving the Senior Bowl to the South Alabama Stadium, it's going to take a lot of pride away from that neighborhood. And another thing about that is when I heard the city South is going to build a 25,000-seat stadium. How can you have a 25,000-seat stadium for the Senior Bowl? There are going to be more than 25,000 people there, I hope anyway. So I just don't think it's feasible for the city to give South Alabama $10 million when they used the last stadium free for the first 5 years. So I think we should, I agree that LAD needs improvements, but I think those improvements should be made so that we can leave the Senior Bowl where it is, we can leave the Dollar General Bowl where it is, and also we can leave the Gulf Coast Classic where it is. Because the Gulf Coast Classic probably means more to the people in that neighborhood than in the surrounding neighborhoods than the people in the South Alabama area. And right now, I actually live closer to South Alabama. But as I say, my love for Maysville trumps, and I hope I didn't say a profane word just then, trumps my love for South Alabama. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I would like to ask Mr. Miles a question too. Mr. Miles?
If you come, you have a question.
It ain't gonna take but a minute.
Okay.
As a former resident of Maysville, other than the bowl games and a few basketball games, did you have any other opportunity to go and enjoy LAD Stadium?
Well, I enjoyed LAD Stadium all my life. Because
How? I'm saying.
Well, for one thing, believe it or not, as kids, we used to play in the area around LAD Stadium.
But that area won't be moved. So I'm saying.
Also, you have to also look at the economic impact. Please let me say.
No, you can't debate me.
You got to look at the.
No,
I'm not debating you.
You got to answer my questions. I'm asking you, did you have any opportunities to go inside of LAD Stadium where the seats are, other than the bowl games and high school football games? Did you have any other opportunity to go in that facility? Was it locked up?
Well, I've been to concerts at LAD Stadium also. There haven't been many there, but I have been to concerts at LAD Stadium.
So would you say 90% of the time LAD Stadium was locked up where the citizens couldn't go in unless they put an event on?
Well,
yes or no?
It won't it be the same with South Alabama?
Let me.
Any stadium, Mr. Richardson, is not going to be available to the public unless there's an event there.
Let me just say to you, what if LAD Stadium was repurposed? What if it was repurposed? Now, you can't debate me now. What if LAD Stadium was repurposed and it was open every day for citizens to come, and that would be a multiplicity of programs ongoing, going on for seniors, children, and everybody else at that stadium every day?
Okay, now let me say, let us see the plans. Because I've heard, because as far as I know, as of last week, because I was at the meeting last week, and I just got to have to say I was inspired by Mr. Dennis and also Mr. Hollis, who spoke, and they kind of inspired me to speak today.
When it
comes to the plans, y'all hadn't seen the plans, as I can remember last week. The only person who had seen the plans were the mayor.
We're going to create the plans,
the mayor.
brother. We ain't going to see the plans.
So before making a decision, I think the public should see the plans.
The only thing I'm saying is that 90% of the time it was closed. What if it was open every day for the citizens? Nobody tear it down.
Provide us with the plans. That's all I'm asking you to do.
Okay.
If you can provide us with the plans and show us how it will benefit the neighborhood and the city, I'd agree with it.
Okay.
If you can do that.
All right. Thank you. Okay. That's
Okay?
it. I'm through. You can go.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Mr. Miles, let me say,
Yes, sir.
I represent the area that Ladd Stadium is in. I really wish that this whole, after having had some time to look back at how all of this has unraveled, been presented, I really wish we had had two different and distinct conversations, one relative to South and one relative to Ladd, and the commingling had not occurred, because that's what is causing all of this consternation in the minds of you and many people that I represent in the Maysville community. To that end, I'm working on calling a community meeting. It'll either be July 10th, the 24th, or the 19th. We're waiting to get responses back from Dr. Waldrop, and I'm sure they'll respond quickly, Mayor Stimson, and we'll send cards and notifications out to individuals in the community so they can come out and get answers to these very questions that you're answering.
Okay.
One of the things I'm interested in is a plan. There's a definite concrete plan for what South wants relative to a stadium. And I'm in support of that. I believe South needs a stadium. I was on the SGA when that effort kicked off, finance chair. So I've been a supporter and a proponent of that from the very beginning. The questions that I have now are questions that are emanating from the community, and those are questions that not only they want answered, I want answered, and the best way to do that is not through the media, but through a meeting where they can ask directly questions of the key stakeholders and the key players in this situation and get answers. And not only get answers, but get input as to what would happen to the property, all of that acreage in the middle of those vibrant communities if this plan was to come to fruition. So I don't discredit anything that you've brought up. I've heard that probably 300 times over the last 7 days, and I cannot hide the fact that those sentiments are weighing heavy as I deliberate over this particular proposal. We know exactly what USA wants, and I'm in favor of that. But we also need to know now, what will the community get exactly in return, and when will they get it? Because I've heard a lot of speculation about it might be this, it might be that. We need some specificity, and I'm working on having that date, and I'll make certain we have all your contact information. We'll make certain that you're contacted so that you can be there and ask the questions and get the answers so that everybody knows exactly what we're getting into.
And I would appreciate that, and as I said, as a graduate of South, citizen of Mobile, and my love for Maysville, the neighborhood that I grew up in, I have a threefold stake in this. And if it's anything that will benefit that community, I'm all for it. But I would love to see something in the plans, something concrete.
Yes, sir.
And I hope you can understand how I feel and why I feel like I feel.
Well, you're not the only one that feels that way. I'd
know
like
I'm
to
not.
see something in concrete.
I'm not, because
Yeah.
when we grew up, when I grew up in that neighborhood, everybody loved it. Times have changed now. The neighborhood's not what it was back in the day, but there's still a lot of us who, and I'm sure you know, who feel the same way.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
So just want to make something perfectly clear. There are no plans for Ladd, no drawn plans, no specifications, none of that. And the reason why is because the mayor specifically wants input from the community to see what the possibilities are. And so he'll be listening and going on tour to talk to people about what's going to happen with Ladd. But there are no specific plans, no plat, nothing of that sort for Ladd. So just want to put that rumor to rest. So to the extent people are asking to see plans and saying that you all haven't seen them, of course no one's seen plans because there are no plans for Ladd, no drawings, none of that, because we want to make sure we have community input before we step into that arena.
Right, and I think that's what the gentleman was referencing, that you have those community engagement and that outreach so that we can formulate some plans. And at least, pardon me?
So specifically, Mr. Miles said that the only person that has seen the plans was the mayor. That's not accurate. There aren't any plans, so I don't want anybody to go away from this meeting thinking that there are.
There aren't any, Mr. Miles, and anyone that's listening. One second, Mr. Miles, I'm sorry. 1 second. Let me just say, because I'm in a very precarious situation, in that I am in support of South getting a stadium. But I am very sensitive to how we're going to move forward with Ladd Stadium and how the communities that surround that stadium have input in the discussion, which is why I made the comment I made at the very beginning, that this probably should not have been a congruent conversation, that these two issues were important enough to have stood on their own and would have been better probably for both parties. But we are where we are, it is what it is, and so I'm hopeful to have a date where we can engage the community, and I'm hopeful that Dr. Waldrop, Dr. Erdman, and all from South Alabama can come and answer the community members' questions directly, so that all of the rumors and the he said, she said, I think it's going to be this, I think it's going to be that, can be laid to rest to some degree. And if there need to be a series of meetings, let's do that, because this is, you know, I read the other day about this being a transformative moment, and I don't doubt that, but it's so transformative that we need to be deliberate in how we move forward so that all parties truly get that win-win-win that we keep hearing about. Any other comments?
Mr. Chairman, from every nook and cranny, everywhere I go, it's just one issue they come and tell me about. They don't want Ladd Stadium demolished. I haven't had anybody come up and said, man, I'm so glad y'all demolishing Ladd Stadium. No, it's just the opposite. They said, don't tear down Ladd Stadium. We heard that today. And I had a conversation with the mayor about that, about instead of demolishing the stadium, let's repurpose the stadium, and he was on board with that. So I don't think the point today, I don't think the idea today is anyone going to go down and knock historic Ladd Stadium down to the ground. I will not vote for that. I will not vote for that. And I think the laws in this state has changed, and that we change them regarding monuments. That when a building or a monument is at a certain age, you can't knock it down anyway without getting permission. So I'm not, Ladd Stadium is 70 years old, I'm not for knocking it down.
Any further commentary? If not, Madam City Clerk.
Tony Waldrop.
Good morning. My name is Tony Waldrop, and I reside at 26 Oakland Avenue in Mobile. Chair Mancy and other members of the council, thank you for allowing me to return today and address you once again about the USA Football Stadium project. Based upon some of the discussions we've heard at City Council, the County Commission, and the community, I believe that there are some aspects of the proposed agreements that would be helped by additional clarification. I'd like to address a few of those today. First, with regard to the university's $2.5 million contribution to the city that is part of the proposed agreement. The purpose of that contribution is to allow for the repurposing of Ladd people's property in a manner that the city and equally so the community deem appropriate. We also care about that community. We have students that came from that community. And Chair Mancy, my office did respond this morning that I'm available for 2 of the dates that you proposed.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
But I do want to make the point that we have not asked, and we will not ask to oversee these plans. We will help in any way possible, but we're not the ones that should be doing that. It really is the city and the county, and we're glad to help. Second, with regard to the timing of the project, we are not rushing forward. The university has dedicated a great deal of thought and planning to the stadium project, and we are well prepared to commence construction and be open for the 2020 season. Given the construction time frame of our stadium project, making this commitment now would provide nearly 2 years' time for the City Council to gather feedback from the community and help plan for the redevelopment of the Ladd property. During those 2 years, the university would remain as a rent-paying tenant of the stadium so that no hasty decisions would need to be made. Third, there has been discussion that other college stadiums have not received public support. This is simply not accurate. Our research indicates that the new UAB Stadium in Birmingham is set to receive $90 million from the city. In addition, Baylor University in Texas received $35 million from the city of Waco, and the University of Minnesota's new stadium will receive nearly $150 million in public support. And in this state, in Troy, the city committed $4.5 million in 1998 to help finance a major expansion and renovations to Veterans Stadium in order for Troy to become Division I eligible. Last year, the city of Troy refinanced its bonds, gave Troy an additional $3.5 million, and spends $500,000 a year in debt financing on behalf of the university. Clearly, there is precedent for these types of partnerships. In terms of economic impact, we asked the USA Center for Real Estate and Economic Development to provide us with a conservative estimate of an economic impact multiplier for similar types of project. They built a model with multiple scenarios, and their estimate is that the $72 million the university is projected to spend on construction of the stadium would have a total economic impact of more than $113 million. As Mayor Stimson has stated, the proposed partnership is a win for the city, the university, and the community. The city's own estimates indicate that the cash outlays to cover annual expenses and remediation of the Ladd Peebles over the next 20 years will exceed $33 million. Last, I've heard discussions that the better option would be to let South build the stadium on its own, and the city can rent the stadium when it wants to do so. Unfortunately, without the requested city support and the county support, the university simply does not have the resources to move forward with the stadium. I believe that this means the city and the university will miss an opportunity to create a new first-class venue that we can all be proud of. We have an opportunity now to make something positive happen for both the university and the community. Let's not miss that opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Warren Green.
Good morning. Warren Green, 121 South Carlin Street. I want to say thank you for this opportunity to stand before you today. As a resident of District 2, I stand before you as a 1982 graduate of Williamson High School, and as one who grew up on Dexter Avenue playing football on the front lawns of Ladd Peebles Stadium. I stand before you as a 1989 graduate of the University of South Alabama, as a past president of the USA National Alumni Association, as an 18-year employee of USA Health, where I serve as an assistant administrator for support services, and as one who is highly engaged in the Mobile community, actively participating with the Crichton Community Action Group, the Tomaville Community Action Group, the Homeless Coalition of the Alabama Gulf Coast, and the 3 Mile Creek Partnership, just to name a few. Partnerships. Let's talk partnerships. Throughout my lifetime residence in Mobile, I have witnessed multiple successful partnerships between the county, the city, the Crichton Community Action Group, and USA. I've seen the transformation of Mobile Street into a corridor that the community residents, our employees, and even citizens from other communities brag about. Many people may not be aware of the multiple cleanup days that are conducted throughout the year with residents of Crichton, USA Medical Center employees, and USA students, followed by a subsequent pickup of debris by the city from a centralized location. The collective efforts to beautify and maintain Mobile Street is not because we have to, but it is because we choose to. Likewise, I mentioned the 3 Mile Creek Project, which includes some of the same entities partnering for the common good of our community. All the examples mentioned above are a true testament to how transformational partnerships can be. As a resident of District 2, let's partner again. Let's make sure that both my district and USA are winners. Let us partner together to build this stadium. Let us partner by giving access to capital so that District 2 will not have to worry where the funds will come from to make sure Ladd has a bright future. Let us create a win for the city, a win for the citizens, and a win for USA. I want to thank you for your time and thank you for your consideration.
All right. I hear you, District 2.
Okay. Tell the truth and stay in the church.
Joel Erdman.
And I get to follow him.
Yes, sir.
Joel Erdman, 6438 Clearpoint Court. Members of the council, thank you for your time today and allowing us to come and speak with you again. I'd like to briefly discuss the economic impact of the University of South Alabama currently provides at Ladd-Peebles and what we can expect to generate at a new stadium. We have calculated our per-game expenditures to rent and utilize Ladd-Peebles Stadium. In addition to the direct rent that the university pays, which this year will be $40,000 per game or $240,000 for the year, we estimate that operating costs billed to the university by Ladd adds another $110,000 a year in funds that South pays to Ladd, for a total of approximately $350,000 per year, which helps make up the deficit in operating costs not provided by the city. In addition to Ladd expenditures, there are many vendors that benefit. The video board and production truck of approximately $24,000 per game, in addition to multiple transportation, food, tents, and staff. These are primarily local expenditures that stay in the economy of the city and county, recirculating for the greater good of the region. And prior to 2009, before USA football began, the economic impact did not exist. We've also been asked about economic impact of a new stadium. Based on our research of other college football stadiums that recently opened around the country, Central Florida, North Texas, Texas State, Tulane, Houston, and Colorado State, we can reasonably expect an attendance increase of, at minimum, several thousand fans per game, over and above our current average of approximately 17,000. In the first season and beyond, we expect that we will sell out the 25,000 seat capacity of the stadium several times a season. That additional attendance will result in a significant increase in the overall economic impact of the university's football program, and those dollars also circulate through the local economy. This impact does not include the possibility of additional new cultural events being hosted in the stadium. Every time a concert tour or other cultural event stops in Mobile, that event will attract attendance and dollars and throughout the region. And without a new stadium, these events will likely not come to Mobile. It's admirable that the city worked so diligently to attract Carnival Cruise Lines back to Mobile. You did so because there is an economic impact from those visitors who stay over in Mobile and spend money at our businesses, hotels, and restaurants. That generates revenue for the city and county, and we also know there is an added benefit from people who visit Mobile, return home, and talk to their friends and neighbors about the experiences they had here in our city. USA already brings in thousands of visitors to Mobile every year through football. With the new stadium, we will bring more people to Mobile, like the patrons of Carnival Cruises. These people bring outside dollars into the region, dollars that stay here and help the local economy, and they help spread the word about what a great city Mobile is. In so many ways, this new stadium will provide a real benefit to the city. I urge you to give favorable consideration to our request that the city partner with South on this initiative. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Nick Lacus.
Good morning, Council. Nick Lacus, 6913 Providence Estates Drive, Mobile, Alabama, District 6. When I originally put my comments together today, I was going to talk about the budget. I was looking at the city budget and noticed the downward trend of appropriations that y'all haven't had to spend as we picked up the tab on rent. But then, to what Ricardo was saying and others, there's a big disconnect, and as I sat there listening, it's two separate things, like you were saying, Mr. Chairman, why it's being coupled together as one package, and the decision for what happens in your district doesn't have to happen now. What we are trying to do is put together a package so that we can pay for this stadium, and this package includes a necessary contribution. To make this work, we need your help. What we do have is a lump sum, $2.5 million, that you don't have to bond out, that you don't have to go find. We can give that to you up front. What we need help with is making the payments on the stadium over a long period of time. Giving you $2.5 million, we don't want anything to do with that. Like Ricardo said, there are no plans. Y'all, the community, y'all decide what happens down there. Let us give you the cash. We need help with the long-term commitment. Some folks I hear say, well, then why are you asking for 10 and giving 2.5 back right away? Well, we could lower the amount, but that doesn't help us long-term. The way that this was structured is the best possible way for, like I said, our long-term commitment and helping give you immediate equity cash that you need now to do what you need to do. So that was one thing I heard loud and clear, and just thought it would help to say, these are two separate things. You've got 2 years to meet with the community and decide what you want to happen down there. That is completely, we're just giving a little bit of money. What if Senior Bowl and other bowl games leave anyways? That is a real possibility. You know, we're going to offer a 21st century state-of-the-art facility. Right now, when ESPN and everywhere else from across this nation, when they roll up, they got to drag their cables out, throw them over the stadium. It's not conducive to modern day sporting. Everywhere else that people go right now for a bowl game or other facility likewise, ESPN and other people come in, they plug their trucks in, out, they've got bays to just plug in, and we are just so far behind technology-wise that we're not able to keep up and attract these folks. And furthermore, I just recently learned that this is the first year bowl games will be $40,000. The bowl games will pay this year. This is the first year in the history that the bowl games will be paying. We're going to continue to offer that rent-free. So those are a couple things that I heard today that I thought I'd help clarify. And also, I've got the data on UAB and Troy. UAB's getting a sweetheart deal, and I'm not saying just because they did it, we have to do it too. But I find it very interesting, especially for a city like Troy, of then 14,000 people that could commit that kind of money. And here we are, quite larger. And what USA provides back to the community in terms of, as a whole, is economic impact through payroll and our employees paying that, spending that money on property tax and sales tax. You guys know the cycle. I don't have to explain that. But when you look at Troy, for example, and I have that information on good accord, the city council president there happens to be my counterpart, who is their lobbyist in Montgomery, and was happy to lay it all out for me as to how they paid for it in 1998, how they refinanced it earlier in the early 2000s, and recently refinanced again in late 2017, giving them an additional $3.5 million, and then their new annual appropriation is $500,000 a year. As for UAB, I've seen numbers on their stadium from $180 million to $300 million, but when you break that down to what the city council's paying, they're paying for 51% of that stadium to the tune of $90 million. The county is putting $30 million, and that's 17%. When you translate the numbers, I got one more minute, right? Mm-hmm. When you put those numbers into terms of what our proposed agreement is, that's at $10 million for the city. That would be a 14% contribution to the overall cost of the USA Stadium. As opposed in the county, that would be a 7%. We are bearing all the maintenance, all the debt. We are going to be responsible for that. UAB is only going to spend $25,000 a game to play there. They're getting a sweetheart deal. So anyways, I just wanted to clarify a couple of points and then dedicate my time to answer any questions that you all might have.
Let me ask you, Mr. Lucas, on the UAB deal, does UAB own the stadium? Who would own the stadium?
It would be the county, the city. You know, that's a little bit different. It'd be like LAT.
I just want to make sure
see,
that
it's
we
a little
were
bit
looking
different
at it from the same perspective.
Same perspective.
Right. You know, we wouldn't have any ownership under this
But that's
proposal.
to your benefit.
I'm not advocating that we get in it, but I just wanted to make certain that it was a a fair perspective as to how Birmingham is moving forward with that particular statement.
Yeah.
But any other questions for Mr. Locke? All right.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Members,
Thank you.
appreciate you.
Ordinance is held over. 52015, amend Chapter 52 of the Mobile City Code pertaining to boarding standards, hazard trees and tree limbs, and updated weed abatement fees.
Move to lay over 2 weeks.
Second.
Properly motion and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
64016, rezone property at 2720 Government Boulevard from B2 to B3.
So moved.
Properly motion and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
CIP resolutions held over. 21443, authorized contract with Vica Construction Corporation for Dog River Park improvements, Phase 1 sidewalks, paving, and bleachers.
So moved.
Second.
Properly motion and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes.
Resolutions held over. If there are no objections to any of these, I'll read them all together.
Read.
Take them all together, okay. 01445, authorize the intergovernmental agreement with the Mobile County Commission regarding the Mobile County Emergency Operations Center. 01446, authorize telecommunications service agreement with Telepac Networks doing business as C-Spire Business Solutions to provide internet service for the city of Mobile. 09447, reallocate monies from District 7 Sidewalks Avenue of the Oaks to miscellaneous street improvements. 09448, reallocate monies from District Capital Project District 1 engineering right-of-way and testing to Florida Dome Street drainage improvements. 09449, reallocate monies from Capital Project citywide pipeline repairs to miscellaneous citywide drainage improvements. 21450, authorized contract with Thompson Engineering for Crichton Fire Station MPDES ADEM consulting services. 21451, authorized contract with Dortch Figures and Sons for nuisance abatement demolition of structures at 205 Rollins Street and 208 Rollins Street. 21452, authorized performance contract with GCB Inc. to promote and facilitate the implementation and marketing of the Gulf Coast Challenge, which consists of a series of community-wide events, including an annual football game between two historically black colleges and universities. 21453, authorized service agreement contract with Motorola Solutions for maintenance of public safety vehicle light and sound signal systems and related equipment. 37454, approve the application of Anthony Donnell Smith doing business as Express Taxi and Shuttle for a certificate of public convenience and necessity to operate a taxi cab and shuttle service.
So move.
Second.
Proper motion is second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Vice President, I sustain my vote on 21-453.
The Motorola Solutions?
No, excuse me, the, oh goodness.
21452?
No, 452, I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Items passed.
Ordinance is being introduced for the first time, 34017.
By council rules, this ordinance was leveled for 1 week.
Consent resolutions being introduced for the first time, 37457 through 60458.
Motion to suspend the rules for immediate consideration of resolution 37-457 and 458.
Second.
Proper motion and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Items passed.
There's no objection. I'll take these two together. 37457.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
37457, recommend approval to the ABC Board for issuance of a restaurant retail liquor license for Walk-On's Bistro and Bar on Airport Boulevard. 6458, determine expenditure of discretionary funds for contribution to the opportunity for entertainers and performing arts serves a public purpose and approve payment.
So moved.
Second.
Proper motion and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Items passed.
CIP resolutions being introduced for the first time, 21459 through 21463.
Motion for suspension of the rules for immediate consideration of Resolution 21459, the rest for level for 1 week by council rules.
Second. Properly motion and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
21459, authorized contract with Lewis Engineering and Associates for Moore Library HVAC replacement.
So moved.
Second.
Properly motion and second. Any discussion? Not all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes.
A resolution is being introduced for the first time, 01464 through 21471.
By council rules, those resolutions will level for 1 week.
Announcements.
Mr. Small?
Thank you, Vice President Manzi. I'd like to thank Councilman Richardson for suggesting in putting on a job fair with the Public Works. Also like to thank the Public Works Division, also Councilman Manzi, and also the citizens for coming out on last evening. As Councilman Richardson stated earlier, it was a crowd of 200 plus that was at Duman Wesley on last evening. A great opportunity for the citizens can really talk to the personnel board about hiring, not just for the city of Mobile, but for surrounding cities. Again, it was a pleasure to join Councilmember Richardson and Manzi, and also the Public Works on last evening for a great event like we did on yesterday evening. Also, please, District 3, mark your calendars for Sunday, August the 5th. We will be having our 6th annual District 3 Back to School Rally, which would take place at the Pleasant Valley Shopping Center, which is on the corner of Pleasant Valley Road and also Government Boulevard. This event will take place at 3:00 p.m. Again, this will be on Sunday, August the 5th at the Pleasant Valley Shopping Center. Also, District 3, please mark your calendars for Monday, August the 20th at the Gilliard Elementary School at 6:00 p.m. We will have our District 3-wide meeting, inviting all the citizens to come out to this very important meeting. At this meeting, we had invited Mayor Stimson to come and address some of your issues. And also, we also invited Mr. Chris Curry from the Airport Authority to also come out and answer some questions about the airport potential move to Brooklyn Field. Again, this will be held on Monday, August the 20th at 6:00 p.m. at the Gilliard Elementary School. And I'd like to wish all the citizens in District 3 and throughout Mobile a happy 4th of July. Thank you, Vice President Manzi.
All right.
Thank you. Mr. Williams?
Thank you very much. I want to thank the administration for all the stuff that they have been managing lately. It's just a lot of balls in the air right now, and Mr. Peavy and Miss Irby seem to be the jugglers of the administration, and way too often we don't say thank you. It's only with criticism that we generally start these email conversations. So it is, there's a lot of stuff going on. I'm not sure I'd want to be there. In fact, I know I don't want their jobs right now. And just want to say thank you to them. One of the things that is going on in our community right now is looking at all of our parks and determining what we're going to look like as a Parks and Recreation Department in the future. They're holding a series of community meetings. One of those meetings, that is the first one in District 4, is going to be Monday, July 9th at the Tillman's Corner Community Center at 6 p.m. That's on Carroll Plantation Road. And I just let everyone know that those are all open to the public. Something that was brought to my attention last week was following, in the last couple of weeks, where we have had our 9 o'clock pre-council meeting, and some folks didn't know where it was, or in fact didn't know that it was open to the public. But anytime we have a city council meeting, as the one we're sitting in, there's generally a pre-council meeting at 9 o'clock on the 9th floor, and anyone is welcome to attend and observe that meeting. Generally speaking, though, that is a city council meeting where we discuss things that we're going to vote on here at this meeting. And and don't generally entertain questions at that point. Of course, anyone that wants to ask us questions can simply come to this meeting and sign up at the door for an agenda item, or sign up by 2 o'clock on Thursday, the week before, to address us on non-agenda items. Thank you very much.
Mrs. Gregory?
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate that. Several things coming up in the district. The Market in the Park at Lovretta Park continues on Thursdays from 3 until 6 through the end of July. That's where you can find all of the same things you find downtown at the Market in the Park on Saturdays: fresh vegetables, fruits, flowers, arts and crafts, things like that. So come on out to Lovretta Park. It only goes through the end of July on Thursdays from 3 until 6. Coming up on July 21st, the Mobile Terrace Community Development Corporation will hold their annual Back to School drive, and I, as always, will be participating in that. The event will be at McCants Chavers Park from 10 until 3. I'm glad John is here, because we've already put in a request to Dan Auto to make sure that it's mowed and cleaned up prior to the event. Because, you know, of course, with all the rain that we have, the tables get a little messy. So just want to make sure that we've got it mowed and the tables are clean prior to the event. But that will be at McCants Chavers Park from 10 until 3 on July 21st, where we provide all of the backpacks and notebooks and pens and paper and all those things to the students who live in the area. And then the last thing is we are planning for a District 7 meeting in August, trying to set it up around the 1st of August at the Emmanuel Baptist Church, primarily to focus on the work that's going on Ziegler Boulevard. You can't help but notice that crews are working throughout the week. It's 7 days a week. Crews have been out there working on moving utilities on both sides. They'll be on both sides of the road to try to get it ready so that we can actually start the construction of Ziegler. So that is ongoing, and the meeting that we are planning in August will be to focus on that, because there are still a lot of questions about exactly what to expect when Ziegler is widened. But I also want to invite Chief Seeley and Chief Batiste, as well as Mr. Peavy, so that I can piggyback on what my colleagues have done as far as trying to present to people in my community what kind of jobs are open with the City of Mobile in these different departments, and I'll be in touch with you all on that. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I finish my announcements from District 7.
Thank you, Mrs. Gregory. Mr. Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Would like to reiterate that we had a great job expo last night, and I would like to thank Council Members Manzi and Small for partnering with me to put this on. I would like to thank the citizens for coming out. Over 200 came out. The building was not readily open because we was not supposed to start until 6 o'clock, so people were inside preparing. So citizens stood out there in the rain until about 5 minutes to 6 with the umbrellas waiting to come in, and we still had over 200 people to come inside. So it was just a tremendous outpouring of citizens that were interested in getting a job with the City of Mobile. I would like to thank Mr. Peavy and his staff. They were there. They stayed with us. And he got a chance to talk about the vacancies that he had over there, and people signed up. They were there to sign up, and hopefully this will resolve the issue of not having enough workers. I invited, it's the second time that I invited Ms. Barnett, who's the director of the Mobile County Personnel Board, to come. She came and she had Ms. Reed with her, and they stayed there long after the meeting was over, helping people to apply online. She stayed right there and labored with them, and I appreciate her for coming, and I'm going to invite her to be at my Trinity Gardens meeting also on the 19th of this month. We had 2 representatives from Bishop State, Ms. Thompson and Ms. Jackson. They came to make sure those people who wanted to drive a city vehicle, that they could certify them. They could get them a CDL license to drive any kind of vehicle the city owns. So they were there saying, if you need to learn how to drive a dump truck and then backhoe whatever it is, we can get you ready, and I appreciate having them on the scene, offering these opportunities to citizens so they could get ready. All in all, it was just an outstanding event. Probably more than what, especially when the rain, I felt a little sad when it started raining. When I got there, I was in disbelief at the people that was out there waiting to come in. I would imagine if we had a sunny evening, we would have had over 400 people there, but the rain probably turned some back. But I'm mighty proud of what happened last night. I'm thankful for all who came and all who participated. And then I would like to thank Marion Stanfield for setting this up, getting the word, helping us get the word out. She was on it, she was there. So we had probably about 50 snacks. I mean, because we thought if we got 50 people in there, we would be way ahead of the game. They knocked those 50 snacks out in about 10 minutes. We were way off the mark with the snacks, but we did have some snacks for them. We had known we'd have had more snacks than that, but she was on it, she was there, she stayed until it was over, and she's always on it, and I appreciate her. And I would like to announce that on the 19th, we'll be in Trinity Gardens with the Trinity Gardens community meeting. We'll be at the Dutch Community Center at 6 o'clock. We're going to be talking about the CIP project that's coming up. I know citizens are concerned about getting that ditches closed. We're going to talk about ditch closures, what ditches will be closed, and I want the citizens to come and hear that and participate. We're going to be talking about employment opportunities. I'm always going to have somebody at my meeting talking about employment opportunities. So really, I'm going to try and get the Walmart Distribution Center people to come to Trinity Gardens. They came to my last meeting. They needed about 200 workers, and they were paying, starting off $4.15 per hour. They offered insurance, vacation, and everything else to go along with that. So we would need, I'm going to ask them to come back again, and I'm going to ask Tony McCarron from the fire department to come and talk about positions open in the fire department, and we're going to have the police representative there also. All in all, it's going to be a good meeting. I think the chief is going to come. I'm going to ask him to come to talk about crime prevention. And I want to close out by saying our precincts put out weekly crime reports. And I just got the weekly crime report from Precinct 3. And let me say the Precinct 3 is the safest precinct in the city of Mobile. And this is what it says. Burglars, and we've been having all kind of problems with burglars. The number of burglars we have had this week, none. It said vehicle, that's residential burglars. Nobody broke in nobody's house, none. What about vehicles? Because we've been having trouble with all these vehicles and people, none. Then auto theft. Who been stealing the vehicle? None. And then on commercial burglars, we had one. So I'm saying, he put all the crimes here. None. Somebody got shot. None. No, that person was not in my district. The street was in my district, but it went over in another district. Now you don't have nothing there. You don't have nothing there. I challenge any council member to read their precinct report.
Yeah.
I dare you to read it. Better not read it.
Yes, sir. Mr. Williams?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just received a text message, and I think it's fitting, first of all, that we, in the spirit of transparency, that trash and garbage pickup. Garbage, that is that indoor garbage that we put in a can and drag to our curb on a given day, will not be picked up tomorrow, but will be picked up on Saturday. If your day for trash is tomorrow, it will not be picked up tomorrow, and there is no makeup. And that's generally the way that we do it, and if everyone will remember, we used to make it up on the next day, and everybody got shoved back, or we tried to go for a Monday. This is going to go to Saturday. If your garbage is generally picked up tomorrow, that's the 4th, that's a Wednesday, it will be picked up on Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I second.
Been proper motion and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned.